Right, so let's see how we can solve this challenge that I gave you in the previous video. So we're going to go to the text on the main activity, and I'm going to delete this the constraint layout and replace it with the linear layout. Also going to delete the text view, and let's set the orientation to vertical. Now inside of your design tab, then we can start designing, but now we're going to use a lot of pictures there. So we need to go into the resources folder, new vector asset, and we're going to search for those pictures. So those little smiley or those faces that I had there is the sentiments. So I'm going to just type there sen, and you'll get these faces. So I'm going to use this one, and let's call this one happy, and we're going to say next and save it. And let's get another one also, the vector asset there, click there again, and let's get the neutral one, and we can say this one is just okay, feeling okay today. Then go to resources again, go to vector asset, and let's search for the sad face. So it's that one, so we can call this one sad. Right, so now we have those three pictures. Then we also need a picture to get the telephone headset there, or something to, seems that if we're going to call somebody. So let's just see if we can get that. Let's just telephone or phone. So you'll see there's the local phone. I'm going to use that one. I'm going to call it phone. Then I'm also going to go there again, and we need another picture there. We need a picture to show a web page, so I'm going to use this picture for the web, and I am going to call it web. Say next, say finish, then go again to resources, vector asset, and let's get the location one. I think this one should be fine. Let's just use that one as the location picture. Now the next part will be to just go and set up some picture elements there, or some color elements. So let's just go to materialpalette.com again, and I'm going to just take two colors there. It doesn't really matter. I'm going to take those two colors, and you can see we've got dark and so forth. So I'm going to click on primary color. I'm going to go back to Android Studio, and in my colors XML I will go and paste that primary color there. Now the same thing again. Let's go back to the website. I'm going to use the dark color, and we're going to use it there. So we say paste, then go back. There's the light color. So for the light color, I'm just going to add another color property there. I'm going to call it color primary light. You can call it what you want, and then I'm going to paste it there. And then the accent color, my accent color will be that orange. So I'm going to use that orange as my accent color. Right, so far looks fine. Close down your colors XML. You can see it changes then when you change the color. And I'm going to add a background property there, and I'm going to use the light color for the background here. Okay, so now we've got a blank page that we can start working on. So the first element that we want to have there is the text view. So I'm going to have a text view there. Let's make it a bit bigger. So I'm going to set the style to bold. I'm going to set the text size to, let's say, 18 there, and let's set the gravity property to be center horizontal. Let's move it a bit from the top there. So I'm going to say, let's say 20 from the top, or maybe 10, and the text there will be contacts app. Right, so the first part is done. Now we need a button there underneath it, but you would see from the challenge there that we will start with the button, but we actually have some other elements also on the screen. So I'm going to use an image view there, drag in the image view, and I'm going to use one of my pictures there now. So let's start with the happy face there, and we're going to say okay. So that's a small happy face. I'm going to use, let's say, 50 by 50. I'm not sure if that's going to be big enough. I think that's fine. And then we're going to go to the layout gravity, and we're going to set it center horizontal. Now I'm just going to move it a bit from the top. So I'm going to give a top margin of 10 just to move it a bit down from there. Okay, so now the color on this picture, if you go to your resources drawable folder, let's go to happy quickly. And I'm going to make this one the color primary. The same there. Also color primary, and also the color there, color primary. And if you want to see how it changes, you can just open up the preview. So this is how the smiley face will look now. Okay, so then we're going to go to the OK button, or the OK picture there, and we can use that one as the color. Let's make it the color accent. Although that's an orange, so maybe we should use this one as the sad face. So let's use the color primary, or let's just leave this one at the black that it was originally. So I'm going to leave this one black. We'll see if we can change the pictures later on. So then on the sad guy, I want to use the color accent there. So I'm going to say accent. You'll see on the preview how it changes. So we actually just changed the one eye there. And then I'll have color accent again, and I will have color accent again. Right, so I think those pictures are fine now. Right, so there we go. Maybe this green happy face should be the dark color. So let's just check that out again. Okay, that's a bit better. Now you'll remember, if we get this problem, you can open it up there, and we need to take this whole part there. If we're working with vector assets, you take that whole part, copy it, go down to Gradle scripts, into your build.gradle, and then you're going to paste it there and just say sync now. Right, so when it's done syncing, you can close down your build.gradle file, module app, just close it down. Okay, so now we are back here with no errors. So the next thing that we want to include here is another 3 image views. So I'm going to drag in another image view there, and that image view will be the phone. And we're going to set the colors now as well. After the phone, we'll have the web page. So let's use this picture for the web. And after that one, I'm going to drag in another one, and that one will be the location. Now on all 3 of them, let's make them the same size. I'm going to click on all 3 of them. Let's go to the width 50, the height 50. Just try that again. There we go. Okay, so now we can set to the top one. We can set the top margin. Let's make that one 40 to move it down a bit. And then on all 3 of them, we can set the layout gravity to center horizontal, so that they are in the middle of the screen. And then maybe for these 2, we'll set a top margin of 10, just to move them down a bit. Okay, so far we've got all of those components on the screen, and they look fine. Also looking the same as in the video for the challenge. So I'm going to have a button then at the bottom, and that button will have a margin on the left and the right and the top. Let's make it 20 as well. And now for that button, we can go and set the style to bold. We can set the text color to a hash 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Fs, and then change the background color there. Let's make it color primary. Now the text for that button will be create new contact. Right, so let's just quickly link up the components. So on that text view, we don't want to set anything. So on this one, let me just see the width there. Why is it 47? There we go. So on this one, we'll set the picture there when we come back. So I'm going to call this one IV. Let's call it mood. IV mood. This one will be IV phone. This one will be IV map. No, sorry, that's the web page. IV web. And this one will be IV location. Now, because we want these 3 to act as buttons now, we want to go and set the clickable property to true as well. And then on this button, I'm going to call that button btn create. Come on, btn create. And there we go. So all of these components has got, they're basically set up. Let's just change the colors quickly on those 3 at the bottom. So let's make the phone, let's say the color primary dark again, and we'll make the web to be the accent color, and I'll make the location, let's leave the location as black. Right, so we changed those colors as well. So there you can see the layout. It looks a bit different now. Now let's link up these components in coding. So we started with 4 IVs, image views. So it's IV mood, IV phone, IV web, and IV location. Let's set them up quickly. So it's an image view, IV mood, IV phone, IV web, as well as IV location. Then go down, let's set them up in coding quickly, link them up, equals find the view by its ID, r.id.IV mood. Next one, IV phone, find the view by its ID, and then we'll have IV web. And then the last one there will be IV location. And we're going to find the view by its ID, r.id.IV location. Right, so now we've set up all the image views, but we also have a button there. So we're going to have a button, and that button we called btn create. Now let's set up the button also, btn create equals find the view by its ID, and it's going to be btn create. So now all of the components that we want to interact with, this picture will be changed when we come back. We want to click on these 3, and we also want to click on this button. So make sure that these has got the clickable property to set or set to true. Now let's go back and we set up those buttons now quickly. So btn create, we can say set on click listener, new on click listener. But we can do exactly the same now for the image views. So the mood will not be clickable, but we'll need to click the phone there. So I'm going to say set on click listener, new on click listener. Then IV web, the same thing. We set the on click listener, new on click listener. We're going to do the same for IV. We do phone now, IV web, IV phone. So this one is our IV location. Dot set on click listener, new on click listener. So we've got the create button, we've got phone button, the web button, and the location button, all set up and ready to go. So now you remember from the video, when the app starts, we only see the contacts app displayed at the top and then this button, which means that all of the image views must be hidden. So how do we hide the image views? Very easy. You just say IV location dot set visibility view dot gone. So I'm going to copy that. That will set the view to gone. I think there's 4 of them. So it's going to be IV location. It's going to be IV web. It will also be IV phone and IV mood. Right, so if we start the application now, you run it, you will see that we will not see the image views, but we will see the button and the text view at the top. Right, so there you can see the app's running. We can only see the text view and the button because we've hidden the other image views. So now if we click there, we want to go now to a new activity. So how do we do that? We need to create a new activity. So let's do that quickly. On your Java folder in your package, you're going to right click, say new activity, and you go to empty activity. So let's give this activity's name, let's say create contact, and we're going to say finish. Right, so this created then this new activity for us, and we can go to its XML file. I'm going to go into text quickly. I'm going to change also its linear layout or its constraint layout to a linear layout and set the orientation to vertical. Now in design mode again, let's set the background there to the color primary light. Go into design, and there we go. So what we wanted here is to ask the user now for his name and his number and his web address and so forth. So let's go to text. Firstly, we're going to ask him, what's your name? Second one will be, well, you can decide there. I'm going to use the phone. The next one will be a web page, so I'm going to use plain text again. And then the last one will be his location, which means we can also just use a plain text one. Right, so all of them, I'm going to select all of them. Let's set the margins on the left, 20, on the right, 20, and at the top, 10. And even for the one at the top, we can maybe make it a bit more from the top. Now let's click on these three with the name there. So just remove the text property there so that there's no text at all. So let's click on the first one, and that one will have a hint. Where's the hint now? There is the hint. And we'll say, please enter name. And for this one, we'll say, please enter number. I hate this autocomplete. So let's say, please enter number. And then for this one, this will be, please enter web address. And then we can say, please enter location. Right, and then I'm going to click on all of them again, and let's see if we can set the gravity there to center horizontal, and then they are fine. Then the last thing we need there is, well, it's not actually a button, but it's a row of buttons there. So how do we do that? I'm going to go into the layouts folder, or in the layout section there, and we're going to go to a horizontal linear layout. And you're going to drag it and look at the dotted line there. Make sure it's after all of those edit texts. Then you can see it spans the whole screen. So we're going to set the height there to match or to wrap the content. And then we're going to drag in those three different images. So you're going to drag in an image view directly into the layout. And the first one will be the happy face. The second one, so look at your dotted lines again. We must be inside of this linear layout. Then after that one, we'll have the OK face. And then as the last face that we drag in there, we will have the sad face. So there's the sad face. Right, so all three of them, let's select them there. I'm going to set the width to 50 and the height to 50 as well. Right, so there you can see, I think it looks fine. Now, in order for us to move them down, you can either decide to move every picture down a bit using the margins, or you can click on the whole linear layout and then go and say, I'm going to set a top margin of 20, and it will move everything a bit down. So let's make it 30. Right, so there's those pictures, and we're going to use them also clickable. So I'm going to have all three of them set the clickable property to true. Okay, so let's give IDs quickly here. The first one, we're going to call it ET name. For this one, I'll call it ET number. This one, ET web. And the last one, for the edit text, I'm going to call ET map. Then for the image views, I'm going to call this one IV happy. I'll call this one IV OK. And I'll call this one IV sad. Right, so we have all components now, so let's go and set them up in coding. So you're going to go to create contact. We've got a few edit texts there. So we've got ET name, we've got ET number, we've got ET web, and we've got ET map. And then we also have those image views. So I'm going to have image view, we'll have IV sad, we'll have IV happy, and we have IV OK. Right, let's set them up. So remember, we set these as clickable. So make sure they are clickable. If you set them as clickable, you can also set on click listeners on them. So I'm going to say ET name equals find the view by its ID, r.id.etname. So maybe it's going to be faster if I copy and paste this. So we're going to have 4 of them. This one must be ET number and change it there to ET number as well. This one must be ET web, and I'm going to change it that side also as ET web. And then this one must be ET map, and we'll have ET map there as well. Right, then for the image views, we're going to have IV sad, and there we'll also have IV sad. Right, let me just copy this one quickly. So we're going to have 1, 2, 3 of them. And the second one will be happy. and the last one will be okay. Right, so now we have set up all those components. We've got the 4 edit texts and we've got the 3 buttons, or the 3 image views that will add or act as buttons. So let's set on-click listeners there. I'm going to say new on-click listener. The same for IV. Okay, not set on-click listener, new on-click listener. And then for the last one, it's sad and happy, so we need sad. Set on-click listener, new on-click listener. Right, so I think I'm going to finish off this video. So we've basically set up just the layouts and linked the components up in coding. I know I've set now the on-click listeners here, but we'll do something else in this class, but we'll do that in the next video. So make sure your layout is fine for this one, and your layout is fine for this one, and I'll see you in the next video when we do the coding.